Many thanks for staying. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now, there will be an uninterrupted supply of power in 2018. That's according to the Minister of Power, Boakye Jakun, who tells Joy Business that a well-established electricity market by government will play a huge role in power generation in 2018. He was speaking at the sidelines of the launch of the Electricity Market Oversight Panel Committee in Accra.
We have, thankfully, had stable power, and it's required a lot of work. There are a lot of challenges still in the power sector. That is why it's important to have a body like this pull the pieces together. Next year will face its own sets of challenges. For example, next year we will have to shut down the Jubilee field to do some work. When you shut down the Jubilee field, you shut down gas production, and the Western Enclave will be short of gas. But we've put in the necessary arrangements and mechanisms to ensure that that disruption does not disrupt power production and consumption by consumers. And a body like this, such as EMOP, will help in mitigating and managing whatever circumstances we find ourselves in. But it is our commitment, as our mantra says, is to keep the lights on. So whatever happens, we have moved from interruptible power situation to a stable power situation. It is our goal to move to an uninterruptible state where whatever happens in generation, distribution, and transmission has no material effect on our consumers. That is the journey we are taking the country along. There will be hiccups along the way, no two ways about that. The urgency of the matter is that as electricity markets grow, they get more complex. Just a year, we just had hydro, and hydro was very simple to manage. Now we have a complexity of generation sources with different economics and different pricing and different demand schedules. It therefore means that you need a system that can govern the dispatch of power and make sure that you have an efficient market operating and serving all clients and customers with equity. If you take the matter of how power is dispatched, remember that power is not priced equally from the generators. You would want a situation where the cheapest power gets dispatched first. But who makes the decision as to who gets dispatched? In certain jurisdictions, there is an automatic system called the Economic Merit Dispatch System that will do that for you. We are not there yet. This system, as we've put in place, is the stepping stone to making sure that we have an orderly market, an orderly dispatch, and particularly the orderly use of the hydro component in our electricity market. So it's an effective governing system to ensure fairness, equity, and efficiency in our electricity market.
Now, reports say domestic carrier Africa World Airlines has started flying stranded passengers from both the Tamale and Accra airports. This follows arrangements by the airline. The stranded passengers vented their anger at the airline officials yesterday. Now, Sheila Tamaklo, my colleague, has been speaking with the Chief Operating Officer of Africa World Airlines, Captain Samuel Thompson.
So we are here at the Kotoka International Airport, where reports have it that some passengers went wild when their Tamale-bound flight was cancelled yesterday. Essentially, about 50 passengers were left stranded here as Africa World Airline could not take them to their destination, Tamale, due to some technical challenges with their jets. After some persuasion and also being offered refunds, which were denied, which were rejected by these passengers, Africa World Air has made arrangements to get the passengers on board and take them to their destination safely today. So we are here at the airport, and I'm joined by the Chief Operations Officer in the person of Captain Thompson to tell us what is going on today. Okay, so Captain, how far have we come with preparations to get the passengers on?
Well, To do is that we're trying to do all our Tamale flights, scheduled Tamale flights today. We'll try and reaccommodate the passengers on the flights that we are operating. But our main priority is to get the passengers to their destination safely. Safety is our main priority. So if there's anything that we think that is unsafe, we'll have to stop, make sure that it becomes safe before we continue.
Okay, so talk of safety. Essentially, yesterday, what was really the problem?
Yes, it was a myriad of problems. We had some issues with the aircraft. We had some issues with refueling in Tamale, and then the weather generally was not that favorable to us as well. So
you couldn't carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point where it wasn't possible to operate to Tamale at that point in time.
What essentially happened here?
Well, we were not allowed to speak to management, so we went around the counter where they are checking in to tell them to stop working. If they didn't attend to us, they were not going to attend to anybody, because we didn't see the reason why Kumasi was going, Takoradi was going, and Tamale wasn't going. If they think they are not making profit on the Tamale route, they should cancel it. We are already used to traveling by route. So right now, we have come. Fortunately for them, the first people who came very early, because they were told to come around 6, they have gone. The second flight that is supposed to go is still waiting. They should have left around 10:30, and they are asked to wait for another 1 hour, 30 minutes. So because of that, we are also supposed to wait for another 1 hour, 30 minutes.
But one may argue that, rather than putting your lives at risk, it was good they prioritize safety. What is your take on that?
Yes, at least they could have just told us that we can't go to Tamale. So if anything, you return our monies to us. Then we look for an alternative way of going. But you don't keep mute, keep us here. Yesterday, others who didn't have places to stay had to go back and get hotels at their own cost. Okay. A friend slept here yesterday. Yes, and he's still here. So that's not fair.
Okay. So for you, what kind of inconvenience did this bring to you?
A lot. Just as I'm still standing here. I should have been doing something better in Tamale by now. Yes.
Right. So would you say that finding transport in this festive season has been hectic? I mean, for you, why did you opt for the airplane when we had a bus, though?
Yes. As it is now, the Bupe Yape has not been open yet. But I'm used to going along with the flight. So, yes, if the Starbo was there, that would have been an alternative for me. Yes. Yeah.
Would you consider the bus? Should it probably...
Yes, as it is now, if I should have the means, I will leave. Yes.
All right. And for you to say, would you consider perhaps going by a bus? Should you be refunded?
Well, the problem is the route. If the bridge is open, I learned when they get to Bupe, they take tricycles to cross, or is it Yape? I don't want that inconvenience. That is why we are still here. But today, if they are unable to satisfy us, we'll take our monies back and look for other alternatives. Fight them.
All right. So you've heard it, folks. It looks like the drama continues today, but then we are still hopeful and expecting that things would get better. We also heard from the Chief Operations Officer of Africa World Airline, in the person of Captain Thompson, who assures that they are doing their possible best to get everybody to their location safely. But it is the Christmas season, and as we can see, there is a number of challenges with our transport system. When it comes to the aviation sector, as we can see, there's only one operator, and this seems to be posing a challenge. According to my passengers that I heard from, they believe that the monopoly is not helping the system. So we are waiting to hear if the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority will be doing more to ensure that we get some flights, more aircrafts coming in to be able to curtail the situation. On the other hand, if you're also there and waiting to travel, well, from some checks I did, Africa World Air seems to be booked, so you have to go with the bus. But just as you heard from my gentleman here, it seems that that will not also come without challenges. For those going to the north, the Bupe situation is posing as a very strong threat and a difficulty for passengers heading that way. So it is Christmas, you have your options, airplane or bus. But the fact...
Meanwhile, there are concerns Africa World Airlines may be feeling the heat as the only domestic commercial carrier in the country after the suspension of Star Bull's operations. This more in the following analysis by Sheila Tamapo.
Africa World Airlines was under some sort of pressure even when Star Bull was operating. This is because most passengers prefer to fly with Africa World Airlines because of the perceived safety issues with Star Bull. It was even difficult to get a flight to the airline if you had not booked ahead. Most of the time, Africa World Air was booked. Analysts say the situation may now be even worse after Star Bull decided to ground its fleet because of an accident at the Kotoka International Airport. Attempts to even book a flight from Accra to Kumasi yesterday was difficult, as checks show that most of their flight for the holiday season was sold out. So is the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority looking at granting some emergency license for some of these charter flights to come in and help manage the traffic? Simon Alote is the Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority.
Rather than bringing in charter flights for domestic services, we are rather fast-tracking the certification processes for a number of airlines which have our air carrier license. The air carrier license only confirms that we have accepted your business plan, but you still need to go through a technical certification program to qualify as a approved, certified, fully fledged air transport operator. So there are a number of them, about 4 or 5 are going through certification, and we will fast track the process to enable them come online. Star Bull is reorganizing these operations. We're going to engage them proactively to see what assistance we can give them as a regulatory agency to enable them come on stream very quickly.
Well, if you are thinking about traveling by air this festive season, maybe you would have to start making alternate plans of going by private car or even the commercial bus. Even with that, you cannot be assured of a hassle-free journey.
So that was Sheila Tamaklo in that report. Let's turn away now from aviation. The Bank of Ghana is confident of a strong microeconomy next year. Ashanti Regional Manager Michael Kwesi Enyamesem says strengthened fiscal consolidation as well as improved policy measures by government will make this possible. He was speaking at a carol service organized by Ideal Finance Limited in Kumasi.
According to the Bank of Ghana, non-performing loans increased by 36.17% between February 2016 and the same period this year. High non-performing loans continue to pose risk to the banking industry despite the marginal decline in the energy sector-related debt exposures. Mr. Nyamesem is, however, happy the domestic bank continues to record significant growth and increased deposit.
Solvent and look at, notwithstanding the challenges of relatively high level of non-performing loans. I think the bankers understand what I'm talking of here. In spite of these challenges, macroeconomic stability is taking a foothold and the economy is becoming more resilient to external shocks. We have seen significant fiscal consolidation in addition to a tight monetary policy stand, both of which have contributed immensely to anchored expectation and have led us to this our current position. The domestic banking industry continued to record significant growth in assets, deposits, and net worth.
The carol service brought together executives and workers of the company and other financial institutions. Group President and Council of State member Dr. Ni Kotijani urged the citizenry to use the occasion in reaching out to the poor and needy.
The cycling sector. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that as a country, this year has been a challenging year for us. But we all know what is right and what is wrong. And I say that let's use the breath of Christ to remind ourselves that we have obligations to Christ, to our country, and to our family. And let's use this Christmas to reach out to the poor and the needy and the underprivileged in our society. That is the essence of life.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Ghana is likely to escape the looming suspension from the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI, the global benchmark for the transparent and accountable management of extractive resources such as minerals and oil and gas. This according to Dr. Steve Mantiao, the co-chairman of the Ghana EITI, the local chapter of the program. Details in this report.
The risk of suspension from the program is as a result of the country's failure to produce a report since 2014. Dr. Mantiao confirms to Joy Business, Ghana has to the end of this month to produce a report or risk the suspension, which could dampen global investor confidence in the economy.
Is the political transition we went through earlier this year. A lot of the times you find that our transitional process is always characterized by animosity, mistrust, and the new government takes a lot of time to examine what it has inherited, and by the time the new government settles in, time would have gone by, and that is what we found ourselves in this particular instance.
Is there any need or cause for alarm?
There is, because should Ghana be suspended, it will affect the international reputation of Ghana as a country to do business, as an open society, a country that frowns on corruption, especially in the natural resource sector.
Dr. Mantiao, however, says government is advancing steps to avert the possible negative threat the development might hold for the economy.
I know the Ministry of Finance, which actually hosts the multi-stakeholder group and the EITI Secretariat, is working around the clock to complete the procurement process for the EITI reconciler or administrator. That is almost done, and I'm pretty sure this week they will convene the tender committee, the procurement tender committee, to meet to review our procurement process. And once we get the green light, the reconciler can begin work immediately, and we are keeping our fingers crossed that he'll be able to deliver before the end of the year. The major stakeholder here is the government. So I would expect that all the state institutions, particularly the regulatory agencies in the mineral sector, in the petroleum sector, who may have to provide data, the National Oil Company, GNPC, who also has to provide data, will all provide the data on timely basis as and when they are called upon to provide this data. Once we get the cooperation of the various reporting entities, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get somewhere before the end of the year.
The Ghana EITI Secretariat at the Finance Ministry has also indicated that the country has reasonable grounds to seek extension, as the World Bank, which had earlier pledged funds for the reporting, failed to honor its promise late in the year. This compelled government to finance the report from its own resources and through the support of the institution like the Ghana Oil and Gas for Inclusive Growth, which offered to pay for the oil and gas component of the reporting.
Now, Christmas is almost here, and many families have not only budgeted for it, but are already shopping for the festive season. But be it foodstuff, home decor, or even Christmas outfits for children, it's all about money. And for several lower-class families, it's a different story due to financial constraints. Fazia Adam engages Dinah Bohema, a cleaner and a mother of 7, on how she is planning to meet the needs of a family this season.
For many families, the Christmas season is a time for careful budgeting for various reasons, especially food, clothing, and gifting for family and friends to make merry. Maybe for the less advantaged ones like Bohema, who is a cleaner and a mother of 7 children, they do not see anything special with Christmas. For a single parent who shoulders the burden of all her children by herself, she obviously doesn't have a budget for Christmas. Her understanding of Christmas is a wild expectation from an unusual visitor or godsend to bring a surprise.
This year, things are not going well for me, so I don't have any budget to celebrate Christmas. When you look at the amounts of money I make, it does not help me that much. But for the grace of God, people sometimes help out when they see my children. So even with their fees, by the grace of God, I manage to pull through.
She, however, intends to celebrate the new year, but will depend on God's grace.
I will take the celebration to New Year. By that time, God will make a way.
How she manages to fend for herself on a meager salary, Bohema had this to say.
A month, 300. So at the end of the month, I am paid 300 cedis. I work for 2 companies who pay me monthly. One of the companies is in my house, so when I finish with the company in my house, then I go to the other house to clean.
For many like Wahima, the dreams of having a Christmas budget has been postponed to the new year due to financial constraints. But even so, this budget is based on the grace of God. For Joy Business, Fawzia to Adam.
Now, away from that, the use of firecrackers during the Yuletide every year is a source of good business for vendors. Now, Joy Business John Fafali Kofi, who has been exploring the business, says dealers are making gains and cashing in on the season. There's more in this report.
Christmas is here again, and shoppers are going about buying the things they'll need for this Christmas. But one of the things that is likely to catch your eyes in this market are these beautiful long sticks. Firecrackers, they are called. But what are the issues surrounding this? We'll find out more. Over the years, firecrackers have formed part of the Christmas and especially the New Year. As a result, dealers capitalize on to rake in some good profits.
It has been almost like 20 years now in the business, and the business is quite okay. There are at times that customers will boom in, like 10 or 15 customers will come in for the firecrackers. At times too, it will be more than 15 or 20 people.
That was a firecracker vendor, Muritala Suleiman, who will not want to appear on TV. During this time of the year, firecrackers and night fireworks are signs that the Yuletide is close. Mr. Suleiman explains the variation in prices of fireworks.
We have Roman candles. We call, normally the shoot, we call it Roman candles. We have 100 Ghana, we have 50, we have 40, we have 20. That's what we have.
Which one do people normally go in for?
You know, normally people go in for, they come in for 21.
Well, I caught up with those students after school hours, and surprisingly, they have made some preparations to purchase firecrackers for their celebration.
Yeah, I have expectations for knockouts. Probably I'll buy some knockouts, some decorations and other stuffs.
It's like a tradition in Ghana when it's Christmas. Normally, one of the things that make it more entertaining is the firecrackers.
Other people, however, are apathetic towards the firecracker craze.
There'll be purchase for sure, there'll be purchase, but I don't see much of we guys like upcoming, they're doing purchases. It's really changed. You know, most of the guys are really concerned about a little more of get together and stuff rather than lighting up firecrackers.
Oh, it's not good. So I'm not going to buy it for anyone to play.
It would be fun to play, but then for safety's sake, I think we should stay away from it because it scares other people and then it's not good for our own sake, security's sake.
Firecracker traders say they are really cashing in on the Yuletide. Children can't wait to spend the little savings they make on firecrackers. So the question is the ban on firecrackers living up to expectation? For Joy Business, John Fafali Kofi.
All right, so 3 days down the line and it will be Christmas. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Enjoy the Yuletide.